And welcome back. I'm very happy to be back reading another story. There was an interval during which it was not convenient. So today, here goes. We are almost at the end of the book. This is titled From Small Beginnings. And it's from the same book, Collected Short Stories, Ruskin bound. So here goes. On the first clear September day, towards the end of the rains, I visited the Pine Knoll, my place of peace and power. It was months since I had been there. Trips to the plains, a crisis in my affairs, involvements with other people and their trouble, their problems, and an entire monsoon had come between me and the grassy pine-topped slope of the hill of fairies. Paritibi. Pari means fairy in Hindi. Paritibi is the hill of fairies. Now I tramped through the monsoon foliage, tall ferns, bushes festooned with flowering convolvulus, and crossed the stream by way of its little bridge of stones before climbing the steep hill to the pine slope. When the trees saw me, they made as if to turn in my direction. A puff of wind came across the valley from distant snows. A long-tailed blue magpie took alarm and flew noisily out of an oak tree. The cicadas were suddenly silent, but the trees remembered me. They bowed gently in the breeze and beckoned me nearer, welcoming me home. These three pines, a straggling oak, and a wild cherry. I went among them and acknowledged their welcome with a touch of my hand against their trunks. The cherries smooth and polished, the pines patterned and hauled, the oaks rough, gnarled, and full of experience. He had been there longest, the oak, and the wind had bent his upper branches and twisted a few so that he looked shaggy and undistinguished. But like the philosopher who is careless about his dress and appearance, the oak has secrets, a hidden wisdom. He has learned the art of survival. While the oak and the pines are older than me and have been here many years, the cherry tree is exactly 7 years old. I know because I planted it. One day I had this cherry seed in my hand, and on an impulse I thrust it into the soft earth and then went away and forgot all about it. A few months later I noticed a tiny cherry tree in the long grass. I did not expect it to survive, but the following year it was 2 feet tall. And then some goats ate the leaves and a grass cutter's scythe injured the stem, and I was sure it would wither away. But it renewed itself, sprang up even faster, and within 3 years it was a healthy, growing tree, almost 5 feet tall.
You want to start over?
No, I felt the hill. I left the hills for 2 years, forced by circumstances, to make a living in Delhi. But this time, I did not forget the cherry tree. I thought about it fairly often, sent telepathic messages of encouragement in its direction. And when a couple of years ago I returned in the autumn, my heart did a somersault when I found my tree sprinkled with pale pink blossoms. The Himalayan cherry flowers in November, and later, when the fruit was ripe, the tree was visited by finches, tits, bulbuls, and other small birds, all come to feast on the sour red cherries. Last summer, I spent a night on the pine knoll, sleeping on the grass beneath the cherry tree. I lay awake for hours listening to the chatter of the stream and the occasional tonk-tonk of nightjars, and watching through the branches overhead the stars turning in the sky. And I felt the power of the sky and the earth and the power of a small cherry seed. And so, when the rains are over, this is where I come, that I might feel the peace and power of this place. This is where I will write my stories. I can see everything from here. My tiny cottage across the valley, behind and above me, the town and the bazaar, straddling the ridge. To the left, the high mountains and the twisting road to the source of the great river. Below me, the little stream and the paths to the villages ahead, the hill of fairies and the fields beyond, the wide valley below, and another range of hills, and then the distant plains. I can even see Prem Singh in the garden, putting the mattress out on the wall, or out in the sun. Prem here is just a speck on the far hill, but I know it is Prem by the way he stands. A man may have 100 disguises, but in the end it is his posture that gives him away. Like my grandfather, who was a master of disguise and successfully roamed the bazaars and as a fruit vendor or basket maker, but we could always recognize him because of his pronounced slouch. Prem Singh doesn't slouch, but he has this habit of looking up at the sky, regardless of whether it is cloudy or clean, and at the moment he is looking up at the sky. 8 years with Prem, he was just a 16-year-old boy when I first saw him, and now he has a wife and a child. I had been, just a minute. I had been in the cottage for just over a year. He stood on the landing outside the kitchen door, a tall boy, dark, with good teeth and brown, deep-set eyes, dressed smartly in white drill, his only change of clothes, looking for a job. I like the look of him, but I already have someone working for me, I said. Yes, sir, he is my uncle. In the hills, everyone is a brother or an uncle. You don't want me to dismiss your uncle? No, sir, but he says you can find a job for me. I'll try. I'll make inquiries. Have you just come from your village? Yes, sir. Yesterday I walked 10 miles to Pauri. There I got a bus. Sit down, your uncle will make some tea. He sat down on the steps, removed the white kids, wriggled his toes. His feet were both long and broad, large feet but not ugly. He was unusually clean for a hill boy and taller than most. Do you smoke? I asked. No, sir. It is true, said his uncle. He does not smoke. All my nephews smoke, but this one is a little peculiar. He doesn't smoke. Neither bidi nor hookah. Do you drink? It makes me vomit. Do you take bhang? No, sir. You have no vices. It's unnatural. He is unnatural, Sahib, said the uncle. Does he chase girls? They chase him, Sahib. He doesn't chase them. So he left the village and came looking for a job. I looked at him. He grinned. Then looked away and began rubbing his feet. Yeah, you can go on now.
Huh?
I'll pause.
Yeah, one sec. When you can all have.
Okay?
Please, do you have a humidifier?
No.
Why?
Eight years with Prem. He was just a 16-year-old boy when I first saw him. And now he has a wife and a kid. I had been in the cottage for just over a year. He stood on the landing outside the kitchen door. A tall boy, dark, with good teeth and brown deep-set eyes, dressed smartly in white drill, his only change of clothes. Looking for a job. I like the look of him. But I already have someone working for me, I said. Yes, sir, he is my uncle. In the hills, everyone is a brother or an uncle. You don't want me to dismiss your uncle? No, sir, but he says you can find a job for me. I'll try. I'll make inquiries. Have you just come from your village? Yes, sir. Yesterday I walked 10 miles from Pauri. There I got a bus. Sit down. Your uncle will make some tea for you. He sat down on the steps, removed his white keds, that is his footwear, wriggled his toes. His feet were both long and broad, large feet but not ugly. He was unusually clean for a hill boy and taller than most. Do you smoke? I asked. No, sir. It is true, said his uncle. He does not smoke. All my nephews smoke. But this one, he is a little peculiar. He doesn't smoke, neither bidi nor hookah. Do you drink? It makes me vomit, he said. Do you take bhang? No, Sahib. You have no vices. That is unnatural, I said. It is unnatural, Sahib, said the uncle. Does he chase girls? They chase him, Sahib, said the uncle. So he left the village and came looking for a job. I looked at him, he grinned, then looked away and began rubbing his feet. Your name is Prem Singh. All right, Prem, I will try to do something for you. I did not see him for a couple of weeks. I forgot about finding him a job. But when I met him again on the road to the bazaar, he told me that he had got a temporary job in this survey, looking after the surveyors' tents. Next week we will be going to Rajasthan, he said. It will be very hot. Have you been in the desert before? No, sir. It is not like the hills and it is far from home. I know, but I have no choice in the matter. I have to collect some money in order to get married. In his region, there was a bride price, usually of 2,000 rupees. Do you have to get married so soon? I have only one brother and he is still very young. My mother is not well. She needs a daughter-in-law to help her in the fields and the house and with the cows. We are a small family, so the work is greater. Every family has its few terraced fields, narrow and stony, usually perched on a hillside above a stream or river. They grow rice, barley, maize, potatoes, just enough to live on, even if their produce is sufficient for marketing. The absence of roads makes it difficult to get the produce to the market towns. There is no money to be earned in the villages, and money is needed for clothes, soap, medicines, and for recovering the family jewelry from the money lenders. So the young men leave their villages to find work, and to find work they must go to the plains. The lucky ones get into the army. Others enter domestic service or take jobs in garages, hotels, wayside tea shops, schools, etc. In Mussoorie, the main attraction is the large number of schools which employ cooks and bearers. But the schools were full when Prem arrived. He had been to the recruiting center at Ruskin, hoping to get into the army, but they found a deformity in his right foot, the result of a bone broken when landslip carried him away from the one dark monsoon night. He was lucky, he said, that it was only his foot and not his head that had been broken. He came to the house to inform his uncle about the job and to say goodbye. I thought, another nice person I probably won't see again. Another ship passing in the night, the friendly twinkle of its lights soon vanishing in the darkness. I said, come again, held his smile with mine so that I could remember him better, and returned to my study and my typewriter. The typewriter is the repository of a writer's loneliness. It stares unsympathetically back at him every day, doing its best to be discouraging. Maybe I'll go back to the old-fashioned quill pen and marbling stand. Then I can feel like a real writer. Balzac or Dickens, scratching away into the endless reaches of the night. Of course, the days and nights are seemingly shorter than they need to be. They must be, otherwise why do we hurry so much and achieve so little by the standards of the past? Prem goes, disappears into the vast, faceless cities of the plains, and a year slips by, or rather I do, and then there he is again. thinner and darker and still smiling and still looking for a job. I should have known that hillmen don't disappear altogether. These spirit-haunted rocks don't let their people wander too far, lest they lose them forever. I was able to get him a job in this school. The headmaster's wife needed a cook. I wasn't sure if Prem could cook very well, but I sent him along and they said they'd give him a try. 3 days later, the headmaster's wife met me on the road and started gushing all over me. She was the type who gushed. We are so grateful to you. Thank you so much for sending me that lovely boy. He's so polite and he cooks very well. A little too hot for my husband, but otherwise delicious, just delicious. And he's a real treasure, a lovely boy. And she gave me an arch look, the famous look which she used to captivate all good-looking young prefects who became prefects. It was said only if she approved of them. I wasn't sure that she didn't want something more than a cook, and I only hoped that Prem would give every satisfaction. He looked cheerful enough when he came to see me on his off day. How are you getting on? I asked. Lovely, he said, using his mistress' favorite expression. What do you mean, lovely? Do they like your work? The main side likes it. She strokes me on the cheek whenever she enters the kitchen. The side says nothing. He takes medicine after every meal. Did he always take medicine or only now that you are doing the cooking? I'm not sure. I think he has always been taking medicine. He was sleeping in the headmaster's veranda and getting 60 rupees a month. A cook in Delhi got 160 and a cook in Paris or New York got 10 times as much. I did not say as much to Prem. He might ask me to get him a job in New York, and that would be the last I saw of him. He's a cook. Might as well get a job making curries off Broadway. As a writer, wouldn't get to first place. And only my uncle Ken knew the secret of how to make a living without actually doing any work. But then, of course, he had 4 sisters, and each of them was married to a fairly prosperous husband. So Uncle Ken divided his year among them. 3 months with Aunt Ruby in Nainital, 3 months with Aunt Susie in Kashmir, 3 months with my mother, not quite so affluent, in Jamnagar, and 3 months in the vet hospital in Bareilly, where Aunt Mabel ran the hospital for her veterinary husband. In this way, he never overstayed his welcome. A sister can look after a brother for just 3 months at a time, and no more. Uncle would work without perfection. But I had no sisters, so I had to write others. So I came to the hills. The hillmen go to the plains to make a living. I had to come to the hills to try and make mine. So here I am. So we'll pause here and continue later. Thank you.